Okay, these notes go on page 80. Content objective, we will be able to interpret the meaning of slopes and intercepts in applied situations. So we're starting out with y equals mx plus b. And by now, we should know that m stands for our slope, and we know that b stands for our y-intercept. But in applied situations, these slopes and y-intercepts can stand for a bunch of different things. Our slopes, they are usually, it always has to do with a rate of change in some sort. So if you see a rate of, that's supposed to be an of change. If you see something that says rate of change, or you see something like miles per hour, or I don't know, minutes per year, or something like that. If you see some sort of per, or you see a rate of change, that's probably going to be represented by your slope. And our y-intercept is it's usually our starting point. I mean, it's where the graph's going to start out. So we're starting out with already a certain amount of money paid, or we're starting out with a certain number of miles already driven. What's our y-intercept going to represent? Daniel works as a volunteer in a homeless shelter. So far, he has worked 22 hours, and he plans to continue working 3 hours per week. His hours worked as a function of time is shown in the graph. We need to do 3 different things here. We need to write an equation that represents the hours Daniel will work as a function of time. We need to identify the slope and the y-intercept and describe their meanings. And we also need to find the number of hours worked after 16 weeks. So, great place to start would be with writing our equation. We know that if we have a y-intercept, if we have y equals mx plus b, we should be able to figure out our equation. So we already know, just by reading the equation, that we see 3 hours per week, and then we see it has worked 22 hours. Those, going back to what we talked about just a minute ago, those can be represented in our equation as our slope and our y-intercept. Our slope is going to be 3 hours per week, where x represents our weeks. And then b is going to be the number of hours that have already been worked. So that's 22. And so those numbers came directly from our statement. So then a is y equals 3x plus 22. So identify the slope and the y-intercept and describe their meanings. Well, our slope is 3, and that represents our hours per week. And then we also know that our y-intercept is 22, and that's hours already worked. Then the last part, probably the easiest one, is we need to find the number of hours worked after 16 weeks. So that means we're going to go on the graph to 16, follow it up. We see that it hits right here. So that means 70 hours have been worked after 16 weeks. Another example. The Johnsons are putting new carpet in their home. Installation is $300 and the carpeting costs $4 per square foot. The total price of the job as a function of area is shown in the graph. Write an equation, identify the slope and y-intercept, describe their meanings, and find the total costs if the area is 375 feet. Alright, so first things first, we need to be able to identify the important information in the statement. So we see installation is going to cost $300, and the carpeting costs $4 per square foot. So that per is my hint that that's my slope. So we see my m, our m, it's hours, I promise, is $4 per square foot. And then we see that our b is the amount of money that you're going to have to pay no matter what, which is that installation charge of $300. So if our m is 4 and our b is 300, we can write y equals 4x plus 300. So then if your m is 4, I want you to tell me what that stands for. And if your b is 300, I want you to tell me what that stands for, because it's all right there in the equation or in the statement. And then we need to find the total cost for if the area was 375 feet. So I'm going to follow my graph along. Well, wait a second. It doesn't tell me 375 feet. So the best thing to do there would be to plug 375 in for x. So y is going to equal 4 times 375 plus 300. Figure that out, and that is your total cost if the area is 375 square feet. We're going to finish up with an example that I want you guys to do by yourselves. So Laura hiked 8 miles on the first day and is hiking at a rate of 3 miles per hour on the second day. Her total distance as a function of time is shown in the graph. Select the best answer. So which equation represents Laura's total distance as a function of time? A, B, or C? And then you need to tell me what the slope represents and also what the y-intercept represents. So this problem, this will be 1/2 of your quiz at the end of the day on Tuesday. So this is what I'm going to be looking for specifically when I check notes on Tuesday morning, and this same problem will also be half of your quiz that you take at the end of the day on Tuesday. Okay, that's it. Goodbye. See you guys tomorrow in class.